Welcome to chemistry class. Students, do you know the prosperity of a country is measured in terms of consumption of a chemical compound? Have you got some idea that a country is said to be prosperous if it consumes maximum amount of that compound? You don't have any answer. Okay, let me answer this. The name of the chemical compound which measures the prosperity of a country is the king of chemicals, that is sulfuric acid. I repeat, sulfuric acid, which is a sulfur containing compound, because it has wide application in industry. More consumption of sulfuric acid, more industry, that country is prosperous. USA tops the list here. Now, can you think about the life without oxygen? Impossible. That is why I have created a quotation just to emphasize the importance of chemistry here. The quotation is, हमारे हर सांस में केमिस्ट्री बसा हुआ है. हमारे हर सांस में केमिस्ट्री बसा हुआ है. ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि जब भी हम सांस लेते हैं ऑक्सीजन लेते हैं, जब भी सांस छोड़ते हैं कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड छोड़ते हैं. तो इन बोथ द वेज we are associated with chemical compounds. So it is justified that to say that हमारे हर सांस में केमिस्ट्री बसा हुआ है. So oxygen and sulfur I am talking about. So students, today we are going to discuss about the oxygen family, that is cysteine group elements. These cysteine group elements are also called chalcogens. I repeat, chalcogens. What do you mean by chalcogens? Chalco, I mean O. Gens, we mean maker. Ore maker, because most of the ores are available either in form of oxides or in form of sulfides. So, chalcogens. Let us first see what are the members. Who are the members of the oxygen family or cysteine group in periodic table? The members are oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. These are the members of the oxygen family. So, at first we will discuss about the physical properties of these elements, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. Once again, you can use the magic numbers to get the atomic number of these elements. You know, the atomic number of oxygen is 8, and add 8 to get back the atomic number of next element sulfur, that is 16. Then add 18 to get the atomic number of next element selenium, that is 34. Add 18 to get the atomic number of the next element, that is tellurium, which is 52. Finally, add 32 to get the atomic number of the next element, that is polonium, whose atomic number is 84. So, atomic number of these elements are 8, 16, 34, 52 and 84. Coming to first physical property of cysteine group element, that is the covalent radius or atomic radius. The atomic radius of these elements increases down the group, which is displayed on your TV screen. The atomic radius increases. Why increases? Because the number of cells increases down the group, so atomic radius increases. But after sulfur, the increase in atomic radius is not so high. Why this is so? Why increase in atomic radius is not so high? It is because of poor scattering by D and F electrons after sulfur. As you know, after sulfur, deep electrons are in the process of filling. I mean, this half cell is in the process of filling. Okay, selenium has got 10d electrons, tellurium has 20d electrons, and that polonium has got 30d electrons and 14f electrons. Next physical property is ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy also decreases down the group. Ionization enthalpy again because atomic radius increases. Ionization enthalpy decreases down the group. And once again, the difference of ionization energy between after sulfur is small. Same explanation due to poor skinning by D and F electrons. Skinning effect decreases, effective nuclear charge increases. Effective nuclear charge increases means attraction of the nuclear for the outer cell electron increases. So, as the attraction of the nucleus for the outer cell electron increases, the ionization energy increases. Okay. So, ionization energy though decreases down the groove, but difference of ionization energy after sulfur is small. Reason poor skinning by D and F electrons. Coming to electronegativity, decreases once again, decreases down the groove, and once again same explanation here that after sulfur difference of electronegativity is small. What the reason? Poor skinning by D and F electrons. Boiling point, melting point also displayed on a TV screen. Boiling point and melting point increases down the groove usually. So, these are some physical properties of cysteine group elements. See, all these physical properties are displayed on a TV screen. Ionization enthalpy decreases down the groove, I have already explained. Coming to electron affinity, one more important physical property is there, electron affinity. Okay. See the electron affinity, decreasing order of electron affinity which is displayed on a TV screen. First electron affinity, you see, the highest electron affinity is for sulfur and the lowest electron affinity for oxygen. How could it be? We know that oxygen is the second most electronegative element in the predictable. In the predictable, oxygen is the second most electronegative element next to fluorine. But see, oxygen has the lowest electron affinity. How can you answer this? That between sulfur and oxygen, that oxygen has the lowest electron affinity, sulfur has the highest. Why this is so? Why oxygen has the lowest? This question can be asked to students, that sulfur is larger in size, but it has higher electron affinity compared to oxygen. Let us answer these questions. Oxygen is smaller in size. So, we have to add electron for the electron affinity. What is the electron affinity? It is the amount of energy released, when a neutral gaseous atom accepts one electron to give the corresponding gaseous anion. So, I have to add an electron to oxygen. This is electron affinity. Okay. So, more amount of energy is released in case of sulfur, but in case of oxygen is least. Why? Smaller size oxygen. There is repulsion between electron added and electrons in the outermost cell of oxygen. So, how many electrons are present in the outermost cell of oxygen? How many electrons? 6 electrons. So, in a small size there are 6 electrons. So, there is repulsion between the electron added and electrons available in the valence cell of oxygen. Because of this repulsion, electron addition is difficult. Hence, a part of the energy released is consumed in order to overcome this repulsion between the electron added and electrons in the outermost cell. That is why the amount of energy released is less. We are expecting more amount of energy, release of more amount of energy, but not so. It is because of smaller size. So, due to smaller size, there is repulsion between the electron added and electrons in the outer cell. Electron added and electrons in the outer cell. So, a part of the energy released, out of the total amount of energy released, a part of the energy released is consumed in order to overcome this repulsion. So, electron affinity order is sulfur greater than selenium, greater than tellurium, greater than polonium, greater than oxygen. Electronic configuration, I have already told you there are 6 electrons in the outermost cell with the general electronic configurations. General electronic configuration is NS2, NP4. So, 2 electron in the s orbital in paired state, and p sub cell, as you know, it has got 3 orbital because there are 3 quantum number possible, p sub cell. So, 3 orbital. This is in accordance with Hund's rule, but we have to fill up 4 electrons in the 3p orbital. So, pairing begins. Okay, 2 unpaired electrons are there, 2 half filled orbitals are there. So, usual covalence of these elements is 2. Oxygen covalency, if somebody asks you that what is the covalence of oxygen, what is covalency? Number of half filled orbital present in the valence shell of the element. So, how many half filled orbital are present in the valence shell of oxygen? 2. The covalence of oxygen is 2. Usually oxygen forms 2 covalent bonds, but maximum covalence of oxygen is 3. Maximum covalence of oxygen is 3. Why? It can donate one of the electron pair to form 3 covalent bonds. For example, hydronium ion H3O plus. Okay. What about the rest of the elements? Their covalency, they can extend their covalence up to 6. Why? Oxygen maximum covalence is 3, but rest of the element they can extend their covalence up to 6. Why this is so? You can answer this question. Yes, students, you can answer. I have already told you in the last class. In the nitrogen family, we have discussed this. Nitrogen is spent. Nitrogen its maximum covalence in nitrogen is 4, whereas rest of the elements they can extend their covalence up to 6. Same question here. Maximum covalence of oxygen is 3. Rest of the elements here they can extend their covalence up to 6. Because of absence of d orbital in or vacant orbital in oxygen, whereas rest of the elements they have got vacant d orbital, they can extend their covalency, they can unpaired all the electrons in the outermost shell. How many electrons are available in the outermost shell of these elements? 6. Oxygen can't expand or can't show the expansion of octet. I mean, oxygen cannot extend its covalency beyond 3, whereas rest of the elements they have got vacant orbital. So, there are 6 half filled orbitals possible in case of sulfur. Covalence of sulfur is 6. Okay. So, these elements shows the maximum covalence, or these elements can extend their covalence up to 6 due to presence of or due to availability of vacant orbital, I mean d orbital. This is covalence here. Electronegativity, which is displayed on a TV screen, we have already discussed. Electronegativity. Coming to metallic character. Metallic character of these elements in cases down the groove. Oxygen, sulfur, non-metal. Selenium and tellurium, they are metalloids. Polonium is a radioactive metal. Polonium is a metal but radioactive. And all these elements exhibit allotropy. I have told you allotropy is the phenomenon in which different forms of the element having different physical properties but same chemical properties. What about the melting point and boiling points? In cases in cases down the groove. And what about the atomicity? Oxygen is diatomic, but sulfur octatomic. Oxygen is diatomic, sulfur is octatomic. How could it be possible? Why oxygen is diatomic? Oxygen is diatomic because oxygen is smaller in size. So, orbitals are localized, orbitals are available. So, there is side overlapping. So, pi bond can be formed. I mean to say oxygen shows multiple bonding. Sulfur large in size, cannot show multiple bonding. So, that is why oxygen atomicity 2, sulfur atomicity 8. Sulfur cannot show multiple bonding. So, sulfur is octatomic, oxygen is diatomic. So, oxygen is a gas, rest are solids. High molecular mass S8, molecular mass is too high. Van der Waals force of attraction is too high, exists as solids. So, sulfur is octatomic, oxygen is diatomic. So, oxygen is a gas, rest are solids. Then comes chemical properties. First chemical properties we are going to discuss is oxidation state. Oxygen can show the oxidation state from -2 to +2. -2 in oxides, -1 in peroxides, -half also in superoxides, 0, +1 in fluorides, +2 in difluorides. Oxygen exhibit -2 to +2. Except oxygen, other elements of this group exhibit +2, +4, +6 oxidation state. Also +2, +4, +6, but +4, +6 oxidation states are common. However, tendency to show +6 oxidation state decreases down the graph. Down the graph, tendency to show +6 oxidation state decreases. Why this is so? Why tendency to show plastics oxidation state decreases down the group? Student, can you answer? Yes, you can answer it. What the reason? Inert pair effect. Inert pair effect increases down the groove. Why inert pair effect increases down the groove? Because of D and F electrons. D's electrons, F electrons are filled in. So due to poor skinning by D and F electrons in polonium, also in tellurium, okay, due to poor skinning by D and F electron, skinning effect decreases. As skinning effect decreases, effective nuclear charge increases. So the outermost shell, that S electron pair, which is more penetrated towards the nucleus, tightly held to the nucleus, not available for bonding, inert pair effect. So plastic oxidation state is usually not shown by these elements. Tendency to show plastic oxidation state decreases down the group. That's the reason. Do you follow me, students? Have you got some idea now about the inert pair effect? Okay. Now we have some idea about that oxidation state of cysteine group elements, I mean chalcogens. Now let's see the next chemical property, that is reactivity with hydrogen. So the reactivity with the hydrogen of cysteine group elements is displayed on a TV screen. Let's have a look. All the elements of this group form hydrides of the type H2E, where E could be oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium or polonium. What about the acidic character of these hydrides? Acidic character of these hydrides increases down the groove. Why acidic character increases? What do you mean by acid? The substance which can donate H plus ion to any other substance, I mean Bronsted acid. The why acidic character of these hydrides increases down the groove? Because bond strength decreases. Why bond strength decreases? Because size difference increases. Down the group size increases, but hydrogen remains same. So size difference increases. Size difference increases down the groove. That is why that acidic character, I mean bond strength decreases. Acidic character of hydrides increases down the groove. Thermal stability decreases. Why this is so? Bond strength decreases. Reducing character increases, same reason. Why increases? Reducing character increases. H2 is not reducing, H2S is reducing. H2O not reducing, H2S is reducing. Why? The reducing character why increases? Bond strength, I mean that central atom and hydrogen, this bond strength decreases. Why decreases? Due to increase in size difference. Coming to decreasing order of boiling point. See the decreasing order of boiling point. It is important here. The question may be asked you that what is the decreasing order of boiling point of the hydrides of cysteine group elements, or arrange the hydrides of cysteine group elements in decreasing order of their boiling point. H2O has the highest boiling point, obvious. Why? Why it is obvious that H2O should have the highest boiling point? Because of hydrogen bonding. In H2O there is intermolecular hydrogen bonding, stronger intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So it has the highest boiling point, it is obvious. Answer is hydrogen bonding. Coming to H2T, H2O greater than H2T, greater than H2SC, greater than H2S. Why H2T? H2T, H2SC, H2S, no hydrogen bonding. Then what we will consider here? We will consider the van der Waals force of attractions. Van der Waals force of attraction, so H2T has high van der Waals force of attractions. That is a higher boiling point, then H2SC, then H2S. What about the bond angle? Bond angle increases or decreases down the groove? Bond angle decreases. Why? Electronegativity decreases. Why bond angle decreases? H2 bond angle higher. Okay. H2S bond angle decreases. H2TV bond angle decreases. Okay. Why this is so? Because electronegativity of the central atom decreases. When electronegativity of the central atom decreases, the electron pairs are away from the central atom. Repulsion between bond pair decreases. Repulsion between bond pair decreases. Bond angle decreases. Okay. The same important also bond angle. Bond angle decreases down the group because electronegativity of the central atom decreases down the group. This is reactivity with hydrogen. Coming to reactivity with oxygen. Oxygen, with oxygen, these elements form the type of oxides EO2 and EO3. And what is E here? E is sulfur, selenium, tellurium or polonium. Okay, SO2, SO3. Ozone and sulfur dioxide are gases here, where selenium dioxide is a solid. SO2 is a gas, SO2 is a solid. Reducing property of these dioxides, I mean SO2, SCO2, TO2, reducing property decreases down the groove. Okay, SO2 is strongly reducing while TO2 is an oxidizing agent. Besides U2 type, sulfur, selenium and tellurium also form EO3 type oxides. Sulfur, selenium, tellurium, they forms trioxides SO3. Both these oxides are acidic. I mean EO2 and EO3. For example, SO2 and SO3, they are acidic oxides. In fact, the oxides of nonmetals are acidic. So here sulfur is a nonmetal. SO2, SO3 both are acidic, and acidic character, as you know, decreases down the groove of these oxides. Okay. So SO2, SO3 they are acidic. Which is more acidic? SO2 or SO3? Which is more acidic? Get to the oxidation state of central atom, get to the acidic character. You know this. I have already explained, I have already told you in the previous class also. OH engage in oxidation state of central atom. The acidic character of oxides as well as oxoacids increases. One exception is there, that is oxoacids of phosphorus. Okay, except that in general the acidic strength of oxides and oxoacid directly proportional to oxidation state of central atom. Sulfur to SO2 is less acidic than SO3. These are oxides of cysteine group elements. Next property, chemical property, reactivity towards halogens. They form, once again they form three types of halides with halogen. And what type of halides they form? They form halides of the type EX2, EX3, EX4 and EX6. Okay. And what about the stability of these halides? Halides, I mean halogens to halides. Halogens, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So what about the stability of these halides? So F minus greater than Cl minus greater than Br minus greater than I minus. That means fluoride are the most stable, then followed by chlorides, followed by bromides, then iodides. So fluorides are the most stable halides. And amongst these halides, the hexafluorides, among the hexafluoride are the only stable halides. Okay, and all the hexafluorides are gases in nature with the octahedral shape. Hexafluoride. If you consider about EX6, we can only consider EF6 here. Hexahalide, we mean hexafluoride. Why this is so? Why hexafluoride? Because fluorine is smaller in size, also highly electronegative. So it can contract the size of d orbital required for hybridization. For example, I am taking the example of SF6. SF6. Sulfur, what is the hybridization of sulfur here? sp3d2. What the shape here? Octahedral. Why hybridization sp3d2? Why d orbital is taking part in hybridization? D orbital larger in size. It is because of fluorine. You see, when d orbital is taking part in hybridization, always it is possible when that element forms compound with the electronegative elements such as fluorine or oxygen. So F is more highest electronegativity, fluorine is the most electronegative element. So fluorine contracts the size of d orbital, decreases the size of d orbital. So d orbital now taking part in hybridization along with s and p orbital, hybridization sp3d2. So octahedral shape. Coming to EX4, for example SF4, I am taking one example of EX4 class, that is SF4, sulfur tetrafluoride. What is the hybridization of sulfur here? sp3d. When sp3d hybridization there, the regular geometry should be trigonal bipyramidal. SF4 should be trigonal bipyramidal, but actual shape of SF4 is seesaw shape. It is SF4 is seesaw. Why this is so? Because of the lone pair. Okay, it has got a lone pair SF4, so it is seesaw shape. Then EX2 type, EX2, one example I am taking here SF2. So what is the hybridization sulfur here? sp3. How many lone pairs? 2 lone pairs. So what is the shape? Just like water, angular shape. Okay, so these are the halides of the cysteine group elements, and in these halides sulfur hexafluoride is exceptionally stable amongst the hexahalides. Amongst the tetrafluoride, SF4 is a gas, HCl4 is a liquid, TF4 is a solid in tetrahalides. Tetrahalides are usually seesaw shape, they have seesaw shape, and hexahalides, that is SF6, hexahalide we mean SF6 here because it is the most stable one, it is octahedral shape, and dihalides, that are angular shape. Okay. In tetrahalides, the central atom is sp3 dihybridized, I have already discussed about this. All the elements except selenium form dichlorides and dibromides. All the elements except selenium form dichloride and dibromide. The well-known monohalides are dimeric in nature, examples are given here. And these dimers also undergo disproportionation. You know what is disproportion? I have already discussed. Simultaneous oxidation and reduction displayed on a TV screen. Let us have a look here, students. You have an idea here. Disproportionation, simultaneous oxidation, it is oxidized as well as reduced. And these dihalides are sp3 hybridized, angular in shape due to presence of 2 lone pair of electron, already discussed. So in dihalide sp3, in tetrahalide sp3d, in hexahalide sp3d2. This is about the chemical properties of cysteine group elements, chalcogens. Students, we have already discussed about the chemical properties of cysteine group elements. In the previous class, we have discussed in detail of the physical and chemical properties of cysteine group elements. So in this class, we will discuss about compounds of oxygen and sulfur. The first compound of oxygen we are going to discuss is dioxygen, it is O2. How can you prepare oxygen? Oxygen is simply prepared by heating of many oxides and oxo compounds displayed on your TV screen. See, the two important compounds from which oxygen gas can be liberated simply on heating are mercuric oxide and silver oxide. Students, remember this, these are the important questions, that from mercuric oxide and silver oxide simply on heating we can have oxygen gas. Also, we can prepare oxygen gas in laboratory by heating potassium chloride displayed on our TV screen. Potassium dichromate, potassium permanganate, lead oxide, these compounds also upon heating liberate oxygen gas, and all these reactions are displayed on your TV screen. Coming to properties, dioxygen is a colorless and odorless gas. Oxygen has 3 stable isotopes, cysteine, 17 and O18. Oxygen is paramagnetic. Remember this, oxygen is paramagnetic. I mean oxygen has got unpaired electron. How it is possible? It is possible if you go for the molecular orbital configuration of O2. Okay. There are 2 unpaired electrons in the antibonding pi molecular orbital of oxygen. So oxygen is paramagnetic. Dioxygen reacts with nearly all metals and all non-metal except the metals like gold or platinum and some noble gases. Next compound of oxygen, a very important compound, that is ozone. Ozone is available in the stratosphere. Because of the ozone layer, we are safe on the surface of the earth. Otherwise, if the direct sunlight falls on our skin, we can suffer from the disease skin cancer. It is because of ozone layer we are safe on the surface of the earth. Okay. So, how does ozone prepared? Ozone is usually prepared by passing silent electric discharge through pure, cold and dry oxygen. Silent electric discharge. Okay. That means there should not be any sparking, otherwise the ozone thus formed can be decomposed. The formation of ozone, say, it is endothermic reactions, and the mixture thus obtained has 5 to 10% ozone by volume. So, it is called ozonized oxygen. Properties: pure ozone is a pale blue gas and dark blue liquid and violet black solid. Ozone is thermodynamically unstable. Ozone decomposes to give oxygen gas, and the reaction is see, ozone decomposes to give oxygen. Number of moles of gaseous species increases. Reaction is exothermic, and the reaction also accompanied with increase in entropy. Entropy increases, reaction is exothermic. Both are the favorable factor to have a large negative value of free energy, gives free energy. Okay, hence the reaction is spontaneous. The decomposition is spontaneous, so it is highly unstable. Okay. High concentration of ozone can be dangerously explosive also. Coming to the chemical properties of ozone, ozone shows oxidizing behavior mostly. It is a powerful oxidizing agent after fluorine. It oxidizes most of the compounds which are displayed on a TV screen. Some of the important oxidation, it oxidizes sulfur to sulfuric acid, H2S2 sulfuric acid also, and oxidizes lead sulfide to lead sulfide, which is black in color, to lead sulfate, which is white in color, etc. So, it is oxidizing behavior is due to presence of the nascent oxygen. What the taste of ozone? That when mercury comes in contact with ozone, mercury usually, mercury is a mobile liquid, and it does not stick to the glass, but the moment it comes in contact with ozone, it starts sticking to the glass surface, forming a type of tail called tailing of mercury, which is due to formation of mercury suboxide displayed on your TV screen. Let us have a look here. So, that is tailing of mercury. It is called tailing of mercury due to formation of mercury suboxide, and because of this, mercury starts sticking to the glass. Okay. So, this is tailing of mercury. This is the test of ozone. Then estimation of ozone. Ozone oxidizes potassium iodide to iodine. That from the iodine thus liberated, we can calculate the amount of iodine by titrating iodine with hypo solutions. The reaction are displayed here. So, in this way the amount of ozone can be estimated. So, ozone, this is the estimation of ozone. Okay. With excess of potassium iodide, iodine is liberated. Now, iodine thus liberated titrated against hypo to give sodium tetrathionate which is white. Nowadays, the major concern for the scientist is the depletion of ozone layer. Ozone layer is depleted due to the large scale use of the refrigerant freon and the nitric oxide, which is exhausted from the supersonic jets. These are the main cause for the depletion of ozone layer. So, we have ozone hole. Nowadays this steps have been taken to replace all these refrigerants by other compounds. So, ozone hole should be avoided. Coming to sulfur, first we will discuss the allotropic forms of sulfur. It has many allotropes, but we will discuss mainly two types of allotropes of sulfur displayed on a TV screen, that is rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. These are the two important variety of allotropic form of sulfur. First we will discuss the rhombic sulfur. This allotrope is yellow in color, melting point 385 Kelvin. Rhombic sulfur are formed on evaporating the solution and roll of sulfur in carbon disulfide, insoluble in water, but more soluble in carbon disulfide. Coming to monoclinic sulfur, it is also soluble in carbon disulfide, but stable above 369 Kelvin. Below 369 Kelvin, the monoclinic sulfur converted into rhombic sulfur. Hence, 369 Kelvin is called the transition temperature, because above 369 it is monoclinic sulfur, below 369 it is rhombic sulfur. Both rhombic and monoclinic sulfur have S8 structure, which is crown-like shape. S8, crown-like shape. S8, octatomic. Both rhombic and monoclinic sulfur consist of S8 molecules having crown-like shape. And at high temperature, this sulfur exists as S2. It exists as, at high temperature, it exists as S2, which is paramagnetic like oxygen. So, these are the two important allotropes of sulfur. So, coming to compounds of sulfur. Compounds of sulfur, there are two important compounds we will discuss, that is sulfur dioxide and sulfuric acid. Sulfur dioxide and sulfuric acid. So, first we will discuss sulfur dioxide. So, compounds of sulfur. The first compound of sulfur we are going to discuss is sulfur dioxide. Let us see how we will prepare sulfur dioxide. When sulfur bonds in air, gives sulfur dioxide, and in laboratory we can prepare sulfur dioxide by action of dilute acid on sulfide salt. Displayed on your TV screen the reactions. Dilute HCl with sodium sulfide, sulfide salt, liberate sulfur dioxide gas. Also by heating metal sulfides with excess of oxygen, we can prepare sulfur dioxide industrially. On a large scale, sulfur dioxide is prepared like this. For example, by burning iron pyrite, we can prepare large volume of sulfur dioxide gas. By burning iron pyrite, let me write the reaction on the whiteboard. Sulfur dioxide gas on a large scale prepared by burning iron pyrite or zinc sulfide. So, this is preparation of sulfur dioxide gas. Properties: it is a colorless gas with pungent smell. It is heavier than air but highly soluble in water. It is acidic with water from sulfurous acid. About the oxidizing and reducing character. Sulfur dioxide is oxidizing or reducing? Students, can you answer this? Sulfur dioxide, whether it is oxidizing or reducing or both? What is your answer? Yes, answer is both. It is oxidizing as well as reducing. Why it asks both as oxidizing as well as reducing? Because in sulfur dioxide, oxidation state of sulfur is +4. Oxidation state of sulfur is +4, which is intermediate between the highest oxidation and the lowest oxidation state of sulfur. Lowest is -2 and +4 is sulfur dioxide, highest is +6. So, it can be oxidized. So, when it oxidized, it is a reducing agent. It can be reduced. When it is reduced, it is an oxidizing agent. The sulfur dioxide shows both oxidizing as well as reducing actions. You know, sulfur dioxide when passed through lime water, it turns milky. With excess of the sulfur dioxide gas, the milkiness disappears. So, it resembles with carbon dioxide in this regard. Carbon dioxide also does so. Carbon dioxide, when carbon dioxide gas passed through lime water, it also turns milky. And with the excess of the carbon dioxide gas, milkiness disappears. So, also by sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide also does the same thing. It also does the same thing. Then how to distinguish between sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide? This is the sulfur dioxide shows reducing action. Sulfur dioxide is a reducing agent. It can act as a reducing agent. Carbon dioxide does not. Okay. The sulfur dioxide can be oxidized, so it acts as a reducing agent. The reduces the acidified KMnO4 and discharge the pink color of KMnO4 displayed on a TV screen. Purple color of KMnO4 discharged. Reduces the acidified potassium dichromate to green displayed, and also reduces ferric ion to ferrous yellow to green. So, these three reactions we can use for distinction between sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide does not show all these three properties, sulfur dioxide does. Oxidizing nature, sulfur dioxide is also an oxidizing agent. It can oxidize halide to halogen displayed on a TV screen. It also oxidizes hydrogen sulfide to sulfur. Very important reaction, this one, very important question, that what happens when sulfur dioxide gas pass through hydrogen sulfide in aqueous solution, or what happens when moist sulfur dioxide pass through H2S. So, what the reaction? Let me write the reactions on the whiteboard. Let us have a look here. See, this is colloidal sulfur is there. So, sulfur dioxide when passed through H2S gas, the colloidal sulfur or milk sulfur is produced. That is why sulfur dioxide shows oxidizing action, oxidizes hydrogen sulfide to sulfur. Halide ion also oxidizes to halogen, and sulfur dioxide itself reduced to sulfur. The reactions are given on the displayed on the TV screen. Next compound of sulfur, the king of chemicals, I have already told you. The prosperity of a country is measured in terms of consumption of sulfuric acid. A country is said to be prosperous if the consumption of sulfuric acid is maximum. It is also called king of chemicals because of wide application in industry. Sulfuric acid is one of the most important industrial chemicals worldwide. Usually sulfuric acid is manufactured by contact process, which involve 3 steps. I repeat, sulfuric acid manufactured by contact process. Students, very important from the point of view of CHSC exam. The question can be asked to that, give the contact process or how sulfuric acid manufactured by contact process, what are the conditions to be followed. So, 3 steps, what are the 3 steps which are involved in contact process? Number 1, burning of sulfur or sulfide ores in air to generate sulfur dioxide. First of all, we have to generate sulfur dioxide. I have told you how sulfur dioxide is generated. By burning iron pyrite, by burning zinc sulfide, zinc blende, the sulfur dioxide can be generated. Second step, conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide by reaction with oxygen in the presence of a catalyst vanadium pentoxide. Vanadium pentoxide is used so that sulfur dioxide is converted into SO3. Third step, SO3 thus formed is absorbed in H2SO4 to give oleum. These are the 3 steps required. Number 1, generation of sulfur dioxide. Number 2, sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. Number 3, oleum formations. So, first step is formation of generation of sulfur dioxide. Second step is this one. This is second step in the presence of the catalyst vanadium pentoxide. Okay, in contact process, this is the reaction involved. There is a reversible reactions. The reaction is exothermic, okay, and reaction is accompanied with decrease in volume or decrease in number of moles. So, we can apply Lee-Chatelain principle to increase the yield of SO3. So, what are the how can we apply Lee-Chatelain principle? What are the conditions to be followed? High pressure, because as you know, according to Lee-Chatelain, any increase in pressure at equilibrium always shifts the equilibrium in the direction having lesser moles. So, high pressure equilibrium shifts in forward direction. Low temperature, because reaction is exothermic, we have to decrease the temperature, so that the reaction shifts in forward direction, more heat is evolved and the temperature maintained, equilibrium is also maintained. and the catalyst already used vanadium pentoxide, okay, and excess of AR, oxygen. So, this is the reactions involved in contact process, the second step. Then third step is SO3 thus formed must be observed to form oleum. This is oleum. Oleum is H2SO7. SO3 thus form is now observed in sulfuric acid to form oleum. From oleum, we can have required concentration of sulfuric acid by dilution. That add water to oleum, then you can have required concentration of sulfuric acid. Remember, you can't add water to SO3 directly to get H2SO4. If water is added to SO3 directly, then reaction is highly exothermic and produces a dense fog which is difficult to condense also. Okay? That is why direct addition of water to SO3 is avoided. It is SO3 first converted into oleum. From oleum, we can have required concentration of H2SO4 on dilution. Properties of sulfuric acid: colorless, dense, oily liquid, boiling point too high. Why boiling point too high? Because of hydrogen bonding, intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Let me show the intermolecular hydrogen bonding here. Sulfuric acid has very high boiling point because of the intermolecular hydrogen bonding. This is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay. So, it has very high boiling point due to intermolecular hydrogen bonding. What about the chemical reaction of sulfuric acid? Chemical reactions mainly affected because of the low volatility. Low volatility because of high boiling point. High boiling point is due to strong intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Strong acidic character. Strong affinity for water. Sulfuric acid loves water like anything. So, it is a good dehydrating agent. It has strong affinity for water. And it has also the ability to oxygen oxidizing agent in aqueous solution. White oxygen oxidizing agent only, whereas SO2 oxidizing as well as reducing. Why sulfuric acid oxidizing agent only? You know the answer, students. Sulfur dioxide oxidizing and reducing, H2 super only oxidizing, because in H2 super oxidation state of sulfur is +6. So, it can't oxidize further. No further increase in oxidation number, because +6 is the highest oxidation number possible for sulfur. Why highest oxidation number? Because 6 electrons are available in the outermost shell of sulfur. So, maximum oxidation number of sulfur possible is +6. It can oxidize further, so never act as a reducing agent. However, it can reduce, it can decrease the oxidation number +6 to -2. So, it shows as it can be reduced, it shows oxidizing agent only, oxidizing character only. Coming to sulfuric acid acidic character, it ionizes in 2 steps. First step gives H3O plus and HSO4 minus. Now, removal of H plus and from the HSO4 minus is too difficult, which is displayed on a TV screen. From the values of K, we can have a clear understanding that the first ionization is maximum, second ionization is very small, because K1 is very large. Acid form 2 series of salts, the normal sulfate like sodium sulfate Na2SO4, H2SO4 plus 2NH Na2SO4, okay, normal sulfate is possible, and acidic sulfate, acidic bisulfate like NHSO4. It forms 2 series of salts because it is a divasic acid, and as it has low volatility, it can displace the volatile acids from their salts. You see the first reaction displayed on a TV screen. You see, we can prepare halogen acids like HF, I can prepare HCl, we can prepare HNO3, we can prepare. Okay, HF, HCl, HNO3. You can ask me, sir, why not HBr and HI? You are saying that HF and HCl can be prepared, then why not HBr and HI? Why HBr can't be prepared? HBr, HI, they are strong reducing agent. H2SO4 oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent, reducing agent can't exist together. Ahinakula samparka. तो ऑक्सीडाइजिंग एजेंट, रिड्यूसिंग एजेंट, they can't exist together. Okay. So HI being a reducing agent reduces sulfuric acid to sulfur dioxide and itself oxidized to iodine. That is why we can't prepare HBr and HI by this method. Concentrated sulfuric acid, I have told you, it's a very good dehydrating agent because it loves water like anything. Whenever water is available, it can remove water. For example, charring of sugar, you add concentrated sulfuric acid sugar, the sugar get black. The blackening takes place. Why? Because there is only carbon. The sulfuric acid remove all the water here. From oxalic acid, if you are adding sulfuric acid, that carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, both the gases are there. From formic acid, if you are adding sulfuric acid to formic acid, carbon monoxide gas is there. If you are adding concentrated sulfuric acid to ethyl alcohol, dehydration takes place to give ethene. Ethyl alcohol undergoes dehydration. When it is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid at 170 degrees centigrade, ethene, the dehydrating oxygen. Sulfur is a very good dehydrating agent and also shows oxidizing oxidants. Some reactions are displayed on a TV screen. You see, sulfuric acid oxidizes copper to copper sulfate, sulfur to sulfur dioxide, carbon to carbon dioxide, and KBr to bromine, not HBr here. See, not HBr, it is bromine. Oxoacids of sulfur. See the oxoacid, some structures are displayed on a TV screen. Sulfurous acid, see sulfurous acid, it is a dibasic acid but weaker than sulfuric acid. What the difference between sulfurous acid and sulfuric acid? The difference is in sulfurous acid there is sulfur oxygen double bond only one and it has got a lone pair, but in sulfuric acid there are two sulfur oxygen double bond. Remember that these two pi bonds are p pi d pi bonds. In sulfuric acid both the pi bonds are p pi d pi bonds. What does it mean? Oxygen p orbital, sulfur d orbital, side edge overlapping, p pi d pi. Then Carose acid has peroxide linkage. Peroxide linkage I mean O single bond O peroxide linkage. Then Marshall's acid also peroxide linkage displayed on a TV screen. Then oleum, that is dithionic acid sulfur linkage. Remember students, when thiosulfuric acid or dithionic acid, the thioatom is used, remember it must have sulfur linkage, Okay. Students, this is about the compounds of sulfur, oxoacids of sulfur and compounds of oxygen. So, in this class we have discussed physical properties, chemical properties, the compounds of oxygen, compounds of sulfur and finally oxoacids of sulfur, the structure which are displayed on a TV screen. So, that is all for oxygen formula cysteine group elements. Thank you very much.